What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Brilliant Resilient Experience.
Hey, nowadays the pain follow me. Deal with trauma privately. I don't want to be a burden. I handle things to find.
I'm curious. I have a question for you.
Oh boy, I'm being interviewed now. Woo, let's go.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm always ready. Today we have a very special guest. He is a friend of mine and he is a fellow podcast host. He hosts the St. Louis podcast, which is an awesome podcast featuring St. Louis business owners, entrepreneurs, and just awesome people in our local community. So check it out, St. Louis podcast. It is fantastic. And I have an episode on there as well. So definitely check that one out. The guest that I'm about to have on, we've known each other for a long time. We've been friends for a while. He is a marketing expert. He is partner at VIE Media. He is the CSO. So he's very well versed in marketing, business, entrepreneurship, all those sorts of things. But he's also got a real knack for podcasting, and he loves talking about stand-up comedy, podcasts, and all that kind of stuff. So we have a ton to talk about. So I am excited to bring him on. So let's go ahead and bring on Eric Brown. What's up? Oh, you don't have a virtual background. What the heck?
I don't. I didn't get one.
You know what,
Should
though?
I grab one?
Hate virtual backgrounds, actually. I think
Can I
they're
grab one
horrible.
real quick?
No, I hate them. It'll drive me insane the whole time.
Then I won't grab one. Let me move you up to the right
I don't know
monitor.
why they bother me so much. I'm like, just have a background.
You know, not all of us can have a space, you know?
Well, I don't know. My background used to be trash, so maybe I should have had a virtual background, but
Potentially.
it looks much better now. I figured it out. It took a while, like almost a year for me to figure it out, but
To actually
I got
make
it.
a little setup here. I see you got
Yeah.
the monitor back there. I see you got the logo.
Yeah, I figured it. So it was a work in
Oh,
progress.
we got
Baby
David
steps.
Goggins over the right shoulder. Okay.
Yeah, you don't know me, son.
I've always wanted to talk to him.
Yeah,
Apparently he's a
I've got
nice
to get him
guy.
on one day. I have to.
Apparently he's a nice guy.
Yeah. I think that's like a bucket list guest for me. I definitely have to get him on for sure. I want to get Tony Ferguson on. I've been trying. We'll see if he beats Patty Pimblett. I'm gonna continue trying. So I'm pretty sure he's gonna beat him.
I don't even know who whoever you just said is.
Patty Pimblett. He was like super hyped up for a while. And
Are we live right now, by the way?
Yeah.
Are we just going for it?
Yeah, I do a monologue intro. See, this is how I know you haven't ever watched my podcast. So you just revealed yourself.
What do you mean? I don't know what you're talking about.
That's how I figure out if my guests have ever watched
every episode. Watched every episode.
No.
I'm a big fan.
It's okay. I haven't watched. I've watched like 2 or 3 episodes of your podcast. Just saying.
Well, you know, now I feel bad coming on the pod.
Have you ever been on somebody else's podcast before?
Yes.
Oh, dang it.
I'm not the
feel
first.
Special.
Yeah. It's like the third.
Which one did you do?
Some marketing guy like a couple months ago, and actually I probably should reach back out to him because I don't even think he ever released that podcast.
That's the worst. I don't think I've ever done one where it wasn't released.
I spent like half an hour on it.
Dude, you know what's funny is when I first started doing my podcast, one of my guests, Sam Primo, he was messaging me. He's like, you are like the quickest with getting the content out and getting like responding to me. He's like, I've never had anybody else like be as quick as you. And I'm like, that's crazy. Cause to me, it's like, I don't know. I just feel obligated, I guess, if somebody's giving me their time, like, you know, to get it out. I mean, there's sometimes where life gets in the way, but for the most part, like I did that interview with Tony Soto last night, and this morning I uploaded it to YouTube, Spotify, and I got a clip out already. Cause I'm like, yeah, let's go.
He said the turnaround time was going to be a couple weeks. It's been like 2 months, and I just remembered about this. And let me tell you, a couple weeks and 2 months is a big difference, and I haven't heard anything. So Yeah, you're gonna
Yeah.
ask for someone's time and then not release it. That's a little annoying.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, some people, it's like, it's definitely a very part-time thing for them. Like for me, this is like what I want to do for my career. So it's a little different, I guess, the way that I approach it. Some people, it's just kind of something to help their business, help their brand, or it's just something they do on the side for fun. So I guess it just depends on how serious they take it. But if you're taking it seriously, then yeah, you should be busting out your content as quickly as possible, in my opinion. That's just
Well, we
me.
record for the St. Louis podcast on Tuesdays, release on Fridays.
Yeah, that's a good turnaround time. That used to be kind
I
of,
think that makes sense.
yeah. Yeah, I feel like as long as it's within a
Otherwise,
week.
otherwise Matt's gonna hate me. My producer is going to hate me.
Really?
I think we actually recorded on a Thursday, and let me tell you,
Yeah, we did.
not happy about that. You know, my ear infection. Let me tell you, I
Mine's
still
getting
have it.
better.
I still have mine. I was
I'm
in the
probably going to recover
studio
before
today.
you.
What what's going on? I don't
Sudafed.
understand. The Sudafed. See, I've just been taking Claritin and the Amoxcal.
Amoxicillin.
No, not amoxicillin. Different.
They have
The
a different one?
same. So amoxicillin. All right, we're not doctors or scientists here. Let's. Amoxicillin has the
This is the
same
Huberman Lab
um
podcast.
amoxicillin. So the Amoxcal is just the amox part of amoxicillin.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's I
So it's
haven't
like
taken it.
diet amoxicillin?
No, so it's amox. You know what? Hold on. Now we have to. So it's amoxicillin and clavu clavulanic acid. Clavulanic acid. So it's a combination. It's amox clav is what I'm taking. It's
Nice.
the combination of the two. So I was wrong. Good thing I looked it up because I was going to
Not
say for the most
surprised.
part. You know, I try. I haven't taken medical science. I haven't taken my I took a medical science class in college because I have a health science degree, and let me tell you, that didn't help me out there. Now did
Yeah, not really. Doesn't really work for marketing and podcasting, I don't think.
it? That's right.
But
That's
who
right.
knows?
All right.
That's
What do
funny.
you? So I'm curious. I have a question for you.
Oh boy, I'm being interviewed now. Woo, let's go.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm always ready.
All right. It's about fighting. It's about
Okay.
weight cutting.
Okay. I'll try
Why
my
is it?
best.
Why? Okay. Can you please, to all the people out here that don't understand, I mean, we understand. You got to get under a weight to fight. You walk around 40 pounds heavier. It doesn't make any sense. Is it healthy? There's no way it's healthy for you. Why don't people just fight at a more normal weight class? What's going on there? Explain this to me.
Okay. Trying to think where to start here. So it's definitely more common in men's combat sports, especially MMA. MMA is probably, I mean, I don't know. MMA, yeah, MMA's got to be the worst case
I
of the
always
weight
heard about
cutting.
it in high school from in
Wrestling is a big
wrestling.
one.
Yeah.
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 And it's usually wrestlers that cut the most weight too, because I think they're just so used to it. So it's like the wrestlers usually walk around a lot heavier. It seems like, I'm trying to think of an example. Well, Habib, he's an example. He's like over 200 pounds now. He's
Right.
got to be at least like 210, 220, something like that
But what
now.
does he fight at?
He retired, but he fought at 155. But he was walking
That's
around probably
insane.
at like 190, something like that. And Volkanovski, who just fought Islam Makhachev, he was walking around at like 185 or something like that. He's like 5'6", and he fights at 145, and he fought at 155 on short notice, 10 days notice, and cut down from 185 to 155 in like a couple weeks.
Just doesn't seem healthy.
It's not. No.
Well, I guess they're also getting punched in the face and brain, so
yeah, which that makes it worse too. Yeah, it's definitely a problem. And there's like certain rules, I think, on it. I don't know exactly what the rules are with the weight cutting. I need to learn more about it. And every organization's a little bit different. Like I think One Championship, that's like the Asian organization in MMA, which technically gets more views than the UFC, which is crazy. But it's
What's
mostly
that
in
called?
Asia. One Championship.
Yeah, One Championship. Yeah.
Yeah. So One Championship, I think, has a little bit stricter rules with weight cutting. But the UFC, yeah, I mean, there's guys that cut, 40 plus pounds, and they don't do it all at once. They do it over time, but it's definitely brutal. Like, I mean, they're doing crazy stuff to cut weight. I mean, they're going in the sauna. Some of them take like laxatives and stuff and all kinds of craziness. And they'll like lay down with like all the towels, trying to get like all the sweat out of their body, and just like, yeah, like getting on, what are those things
Do you
called?
think a lot of them have eating disorders?
Well, a lot of bodybuilders do. So I would imagine.
Because I
Yeah.
remember watching a video about Sugar O'Malley, Sugar Sean, whatever the hell his name is. Again, I'm clueless in this realm. And he was
Yeah,
talking
Sugar
about
Sean, you
how
got it right. Sean
he
O'Malley.
was talking. Yeah, he was talking about how after he's done cutting, he just stuffs his face full of like sugar and stuff. I'm like, well, that
Yeah.
doesn't sound like you have a healthy relationship with food. If
No,
like
yeah, that's
if
definitely
you
not
need,
good. A lot of the fighters that are like really doing it on a elite level, like when they have their nutrition down to kind of a science, they don't really do that because it does affect your performance when you eat like that right after the fight. I mean, if you eat like that right after the fight, I think it's okay. Like if you have, a few slices of pizza, donut, whatever. But if you're just binging on sweets and all that kind of stuff, yeah,
I
it's
remember
crazy.
his video being wild about what he was talking about after he would fight, and I was like, that just sounds like a real health problem.
Yeah.
it gets it gets to a point. It's also why I find The Rock highly annoying. I don't know
Oh,
if
yeah.
I don't know if it's just me, but the guy's definitely on gear. Can you just come out and say
Oh,
you're
yeah,
shooting
100%.
steroids?
It
And
has to be.
also
I
his
thought that
whole
was
thing
pretty
of like,
obvious.
no one thinks he's on it. I talk literally ask around. Go ask your next time you see your parents, ask them at Thanksgiving. Everyone right now, ask your family at Thanksgiving if they think he's on gear. But I literally, you'll be hard pressed to find someone that will say yes. I
Really?
promise. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, most people think he's on. No hate on The Rock. All
I
right.
mean, I don't
But
know
he's
like if
definitely
he's
not.
on a crazy amount, but he's got to be on at least something. He's definitely at least on TRT, which I don't know if you
He's
even consider that gear, but it definitely helps. And it's not something I don't think you can take that when you're like in the UFC or in USADA or anything.
yeah. I
I
mean,
don't think
he's
you can do
definitely on.
TRT.
I think he's
But the
look at
reason
him. Look at him
why,
back in the day versus now. Even
yeah,
back when he like started wrestling, like in the Walking Tall days of when I loved him. When he, oh my god, that movie's amazing. Anyways, you're gonna get me going on classic, just 2000 movies. Walking Tall. Oh my god, he had the one where he went uh to Australia where he was trying to run down. It was called Run Down, I think, or Ran Down. That's just the heyday. Now he's sold out. He was doing Jumanji. He's doing gear.
yeah,
All he does is workout. All he does is workout videos,
he's getting
and then his
paid.
cheat days. And then he posts his cheat days. This is what I
His
was
cheat
getting
days are
to.
wild.
Coming back to what I was saying. Yeah, it's cheat days. It's like, can we just have a normal relationship with food?
Yeah, I think that's important. I think it's definitely not good. Like the binge eating culture that we have going on, it's not healthy at all. I
What
think it's good to
what
have
is
just balance in your diet.
what is binge eating culture?
I don't know. I see it all the time. Like these, you see those videos. There's a guy from our
Oh, you
gym.
mean on
He's a fighter.
YouTube
He
and shit?
posts
That
all
just
these food videos all the time when he's cutting weight. I guess because he's like living vicariously through these food videos while he's cutting weight. And it's pretty funny, actually.
Are you
But
you're talking about the guys on YouTube that'll go buy like 10,000 calories of food and just eat it?
well, that's one thing. And then also just like you see those videos, they share these like recipes or whatever, or these like food from these restaurants, and it's like, here's a donut hamburger with like a cake on top. And I'm like, dude, no.
Donut hamburger with
It'll just
cake
be something
on
ridiculous.
top.
You know what I mean?
That actually doesn't sound that bad. I would eat that right now. Wait, has anyone ever made a donut hamburger?
Yeah, of course. People have made everything. It's 2023, dude. Everything's been made already.
Interesting.
I think. Pretty much. You know, I mean, somebody's probably made it. You can probably find it on TikTok.
I'm gonna have to make like a donut sandwich and see how donuts work being
It's an
the
interesting
carbs in the
concept.
sandwich.
I feel like a glazed donut would be kind of tough because I feel like it would just disintegrate as soon as you bite into it.
Yeah, most donuts, trying to cut them in half sounds
But then
like
the cake donut, that's like too thick. You know, then it would just be all donut. So you'd have to find like the perfect, maybe like an old fashioned glazed. That might work.
We just were talking about food on the podcast.
This is and we were just making fun of this binge eating thing, and now we're like getting
we're talking about food I don't eat, but let me tell you, donuts every once and again are absolutely amazing. But
yeah, I think it's okay to have it every once in a while.
If you're gonna get a donut, you gotta get a good donut. You gotta go to a good bakery. You can't be wasting the cows on a bad donut.
No, definitely not.
I've been liking the blueberry ones. The blueberry donuts.
So they have these at Dunkin' Donuts. They have these blueberry, like the donut holes, and they're so fire. They're so good. That's my favorite thing from Dunkin' Donuts. But I only get like a couple things from there.
Why do they take the best part out of a donut? You ever thought about it?
I don't know. I don't even really know how they make donuts, to be honest. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure I watched a video on it at some point, but I don't remember.
Pretty sure you just have like a pan or whatever, and you pour the donut mix in there. You put that in the oven and you pull it out, and then it's done. I think. I don't know. When I worked at a bakery, all I did was clean shit. I didn't actually bake anything. I was useless.
Sounds about right.
I was useless.
Pretty sure they probably didn't trust you to do it. That's probably the issue there.
Well, I was like 16. They were probably like, we can't trust this guy making our donuts, which
no.
I would have murdered making the donuts, to be honest. I literally would have done a great job, because if they would have been good, I would have eaten them. If they would have been bad, I wouldn't have eaten them, and I would have made sure to make them good donuts. That I can guarantee.
That's good. Well, getting back to your question, the reason why fighters cut so much weight a lot of times is once you get to a certain level. So like in the amateurs, they cut weight, but they usually don't cut as much as like they're cutting in the UFC or like at a high level. So when you get to like a high level in the UFC, especially even just getting into the UFC in general, a lot of times you're fighting bigger guys if you don't cut a certain amount of weight. So if you're, I don't know, let's think of an example. So if you're fighting in lightweight, which is 155, and you are shorter than 5'8", I mean, you're going to have a tough time in that division. So you got to pretty much have to
reach.
Yeah, reach, height, and also they're just bigger, stronger than you, because keep in mind, they're rehydrating and they're putting a lot of that weight back on when they get in the cage. So you're going to be at a disadvantage. Yeah. And we kind of saw that when Israel Adesanya, he moved up to light heavyweight to kind of try to, become double champ. And he only did one fight at light heavyweight. But what happened was he fought a guy that, honestly, Adesanya, if they were in the same weight class, he probably would have won. But the reason why the other guy won is because he was just so much bigger and stronger than Adesanya. And Adesanya didn't put on any weight when he moved up. So he basically just fought at his natural weight. And the guy, well, it was Jan Blachowicz, his opponent. He just kind of held him down most of the time. Didn't really do much damage or anything, just kind of held him down. So
I feel like that kind of killed his momentum, didn't it?
A little bit. I think the Sean Strickland fight definitely killed it a lot more, because it wasn't
right,
he didn't get dominated the same way. Like it was still
he was
just
defeating everyone, right? Up through like last year.
Yeah, he dominated at middleweight. His title reign at middleweight was absolutely insane. I mean, some people were saying he was better than Anderson Silva at middleweight, which I think is ridiculous, but some people were saying that. So, I mean, it just shows how dominant of a champ he's been. And he was so dominant that when he fought Sean Strickland, literally everybody was writing Sean Strickland off. Like nobody thought he was going to win. They're like, this guy, no way. And then he did. And the crazy thing was that Sean Strickland beat Adesanya basically just boxing in the Philly shell stance. Like with his, like basically the Philly shell is like you have your shoulder protecting your chin, and then you have this arm like protecting your body, and then you have this hand right here, and that's like you're throwing punches, and this is like your backhand, your power hand. So it's really interesting, like the way that he fights, and he doesn't really. What'd you say?
That's all he did?
Pretty much. He didn't hardly. I mean, he threw a few kicks here and there, but he didn't wrestle at all. He didn't. He pretty much just boxed, threw some 1-2s, jabs, and he threw some nice combinations, but he didn't do anything crazy. I mean, it was the level of boxing that he showed was high level, but the way that he fought as far as MMA goes was pretty simple. Like compared to, you watch Khabib or Islam Makhachev, the way they fight is very complicated, and like there's little details to it, and they're striking, they're using grappling, they're using clinch, they're using all sorts of different attacks. And Sean just kind of uses boxing and beat Adesanya, who had a really impressive kickboxing career even before he moved to the UFC. So it's like he's like a multi-sport.
Didn't he come from one?
No, he was in a few different organizations in kickboxing.
Yeah, I thought he came up from one of the kickboxing.
He was in Glory,
maybe it wasn't one.
K1.
Glory.
He was in like all the and that's where. So Alex Pereira, who they fought twice. Alex won the first fight. Izzy won the second fight.
Who is this?
Alex Pereira. He's a Brazilian kickboxer. So he was in Glory, and he actually had, I think it was either 2 or 3 wins over Adesanya. I think it was 2 wins, maybe 2 wins over Adesanya in kickboxing. And then he basically followed him to MMA and made his MMA debut like a few years ago, and then beat Adesanya in their first fight, which is pretty funny.
What is the news that is it Alex Pereira? Is that?
And now he's actually a double champ. So he's not
champ at middleweight anymore. Adesanya. What does that mean?
Oh yeah, he wants Adesanya to move up to light heavyweight. He's basically saying, "Hey, you want to win a title? Come up to light heavyweight, and I'll give you a shot at the belt." Because now Alex Pereira is the light heavyweight champion. So he's now been middleweight champion and light heavyweight champion. And I think he's only had like 7 fights in the UFC.
I've never heard of this guy.
Well, you don't really pay attention to combat sports like I do. Yeah.
But I know Israel. I know a lot of these names.
I would argue that Alex Pereira might be better than Israel Adesanya, which is crazy. I mean, he's so early in his MMA career too. That's the crazy thing. Like it's just going to be insane what he's probably going to do. If he can keep this going, it's crazy. He's probably, I don't know, he's got to be in like the top 25 combat sports athletes right now, at least, probably higher. of all combat sports, like kickboxing, boxing, MMA, like, because he had a really impressive kickboxing career and now having a really good MMA career too.
This
So
pound for pound rankings.
And he's huge. He's ginormous. He's the most intimidating person I've ever seen.
Yeah,
like he hardly ever smiles. He's just like stoic.
Sean Strickland is criticizing Paige Van Zandt over her OnlyFans work.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Paige Van Zandt's on OnlyFans?
Yeah. Yeah, apparently she's making a lot of money on there.
Of course she is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
Obviously.
It's like, well, women's MMA just hasn't evolved to the level that men's MMA is at. I mean, it's newer. It hasn't been around as long. I mean, for the longest time, I mean, a lot of people thought it was absolutely insane that women were even fighting. So it's got a long way to go before it's going to get to the point where they can make the same amount of money, really. But I mean, like Ronda Rousey, she had some of the highest grossing pay-per-views of all time, and she was the main event. So it's like, it's not impossible for there to be a big female star. Like, I mean, we've had some, like Rose Namajunas was a big star at one point. I think Zhang Weili has potential, but she's, more popular kind of in Asia. So, and then there's, I'm trying to think, Amanda Nunes. I mean, the problem with Amanda Nunes is that, well, she didn't really speak English, so she didn't really.
Do women knock out as much? They get knockouts a lot?
Not as much. Depends on the weight class. 135 and 145, you'll see more knockouts usually. But like at 115,
you hardly. I think that's the biggest problem with just female fighting is just dudes are just knocking the shit out of each other.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think women's kickboxing and women's boxing is probably more exciting to watch than women's MMA, but the grappling is always fun to watch too. So you see submissions and stuff like that. So I don't know, maybe if they kind of focus more on the grapplers a little bit, then maybe that would help. I'm not sure. I mean,
Rousey, all she did was stand up and box. Or no,
she had a really good judo background.
Yeah, so she got boxed up by what's her name, and that was like the end of her
Holly
career.
Holm knocked her out.
Holly Holm.
Holly Holm used to be a pro boxer too. I think she was a boxing champion.
That was pretty much the end of Ronda Rousey's career.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally, she just got her ass beat. I remember that. She went from like number one to everyone talking about how bad she was. Like that was.
What? I think
that was kind of a bad downfall. Oh my god.
Yeah, I think we need more crossovers to MMA and women's MMA. Like we need fighters to go have a really good boxing career, a really good kickboxing career, and then go to MMA, because that's like what Claressa Shields did. She's probably the best female boxer right now. And like, she's a monster. Like, you should see her. She's crazy good. And she's huge too. That's why she couldn't fight in the UFC, because she's just too big. She fights at 155 and she fights Claressa in PFL. Shields? Claressa Shields, yeah. She fought in PFL. I don't know if she's going to do any more fights, MMA fights, because she's so focused on boxing, because she's probably making more money boxing, to be honest. But she did MMA.
165.
Oh, she fights at 160? Jesus. Oh, that's probably boxing.
That's on Wiki, but yeah.
MMA, she probably fights at 155, because I don't think they have a 165 division for women's in PFL. But PFL is the only organization really that has the 155 division. So that's where Kayla Harrison is. And Kayla Harrison has a really impressive judo background too. But she's just too big. She could never fight at 145. There's no way. She's huge.
Yeah, she's 5'8". Yeah.
Shields?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's big.
So she's just bigger than everyone else.
Yeah.
So no one wants to fight her?
No, I mean, I don't think she really had a problem getting fights, but I think she's just making more money boxing, because she's so good at boxing.
Only, what is it, 2-0? Or no?
I thought she lost one fight.
No, she's 1-1 in MMA.
Yeah, she won. I think she won her debut and then she lost another fight. Yeah, that's probably why she hasn't gone back.
Knockout. She got a knockout and then she lost by decision. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she got out wrestled in that fight. I can't remember what happened. But yeah, that's the problem though. When they come from other sports, usually is the grappling is where they kind of get screwed. But I think if they had more, and I think it's going to be more common too for women to be training. And women, there's like, little girls wrestling now. So it's like, imagine these little wrestlers are going to be running around 115 pounds, and then they go to the UFC. That's what we need. We need good American wrestlers. And that's, I think, what's been missing from women's MMA. We don't have like the wrestling that men's MMA has. Like they have, Bo Nickel just made his debut not too long ago. And, we have all these wrestlers, Habib, like we need that. Yeah. And then we also need like the strikers. We need the brawlers. We need, so we need a good mix. But I think it just needs time to evolve, and then it'll get there. But yeah, that's Sean Strickland basically said women's MMA is lame. And it's like, I mean, if you know what you're watching, if you know anything about MMA, it's really like you're just watching
what
he
said? I didn't see that. I saw he was just making fun of. I thought he was just making fun of.
And I like Sean Strickland, I really do, but sometimes he says things, and I'm like, bro, you just disrespected the whole sport of women's MMA. Like, what are you doing? You're the champion, and you're about to say some shit. And I think Valentina Shevchenko clapped back at him.
Well, what is Paige Van Zandt doing, I guess? Is she, to what extent is she doing on OnlyFans? Is she doing, is she going all the way? Is she throwing grand slams? You know what I'm saying? Like,
good question. I don't know.
Because that would be weird if like one of your main stars.
She's not in the UFC anymore. She got cut. Or no, maybe she didn't get cut. Maybe just her contract ended, I think. And then but you know where she went after the UFC? She went to bare knuckle boxing. She made more money in bare knuckle boxing than the UFC.
Is an established organization. Bare knuckle, that's just.
It's pretty established. I mean, it's not nearly as established as the UFC. It's just a newer sport. But BKFC is like the top. I mean, that's, if you're going to be a bare knuckle boxer, that's where you want to be. But I mean, Mike Perry is in BKFC. He's about to fight Eddie Alvarez, who used to be champion in the UFC. So it's they're bringing over some crazy talent. But yeah, Paige Van Zandt did bare knuckle, which is crazy that she did that. And the girl that she fought was insane. Like, she's really good. Like, really good. Britain Hart. I think that was her debut fight. And
the big problem is a lot of these people don't actually ever release footage like onto any platform to be able to like watch it. Like the UFC, you can never like see even clips. It makes no sense to me why they're still doing that.
I mean, you can.
So bare knuckle fighting championship, I can come and I can watch the whole one right now.
Oh yeah, you can watch all their fights, I think, on YouTube. Which one are you watching? Right now. You're watching Paige Van Zandt and bare knuckle boxing?
I don't know. There's something about two chicks bare knuckle boxing that almost is like, this is really primal.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think for combat sports, though, for women, that's probably the best place to be right now, honestly, unless you're like a high level boxer, high level kickboxer, or if you're like a UFC champion. Like, bare knuckles kind of where it's at, money wise, I think. Like, if you're doing bare knuckle, you're probably either just a dog or you're trying to make money, to me. Like, or you just don't have any other direction to go with your career, and that just makes more sense. But one thing I was kind of thinking about is there's way less injuries in bare knuckle boxing that there is in UFC, because think about it, there's no grappling. I mean, there's clinch, but like, you're not going to tear your knee apart.
You mean hugging? You mean hugging? I was like, why are they hugging? You're like, they're clinching. I was like, that's what I meant.
Yeah, it's okay. Baby steps. You'll learn. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting though, because yeah, you get cut more, like I was kind of saying, but you don't get those shoulder injuries, ACL injuries, all that kind of stuff. You don't get that nearly as much in bare knuckle boxing as you do in the UFC. So I think that's why a lot of UFC fighters like it, because they can just focus on the boxing. They don't have to grapple. They don't have to do jujitsu. They don't have to wrestle. They don't have to deal with all that stuff. They don't even have to throw kicks. So you don't have to worry about getting leg kicked, which that can be a career-ending injury, you know? So I think that's...
Kickboxing and Muay Thai was crazy the other night, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about stand-up fight series. Yeah. So Eric and I went to the stand-up fight series event, and it was put on by Chad Mueller, and it was in St. Charles, Missouri. The main event was Reese Newman versus Patrick Vega. Patrick Vega was 9-0 previous to this, and Reese Newman, I believe he was 9-2, and they fought for the national title, which that was, oh my God, that fight was freaking amazing. Did you see that clip of the spinning back kick from that fight that's going around?
Guys, there's a clip of it. Where is this at?
Look it up. I think I shared it, but just probably if you search Reese Newman, you'll probably find it on Facebook. Reis Newman. That's the champ. I had him on my podcast too. He's really cool. Cool dude.
I'm on his Instagram.
He's probably got it on there. It was crazy. And apparently he didn't practice it. It just kind of happened.
Oh,
supposedly.
Oh my Lord.
Isn't that crazy?
Perfect.
He landed it so perfectly.
Just right
on the chin. Yeah. I mean, he sent Patrick flying against the ropes.
Yeah, how was he feeling after that?
I don't know. He's a dog, though. He can take some shots. I've seen him take some shots, and I've seen him come back and win a fight and knock the person out after eating some shots like that. So yeah, he's a different breed for sure. I think if he can kind of really dial in on his technique, I think he could be a killer for sure.
Well, wasn't he undefeated up to that point?
Can you imagine him in like bare knuckle boxing? Oh my God. He's such a dog. Like I feel like that's the type of fighter that goes to bare knuckle, is like, you're a dog. Like you can eat shots, you can get into a war, you know, like you're game for whatever. Kind of like, it's kind of like how, you know, that's kind of why Nate Diaz was so popular, because he just had the most insane chin anybody had ever seen. Like he could eat so many shots and then he would just come right back. And I mean, he beat Connor in their first fight and he beat him on short notice. Like it was crazy. And yeah, it's just, that was like his signature.
Well, he's kind of lost that now though. He's lost that chin.
A little bit.
He's definitely lost that.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't get knocked out in the Jake Paul fight, and Jake Paul hit him with some clean shots. So I don't know. He actually didn't even get cut in that fight, which he normally gets cut in every fight because he has so much scar tissue. But he didn't even get cut in that fight.
What's with the helmets?
Oh, the headgear?
Yeah, what's with the headgear? Helmets. It seems okay. So
to prevent cuts, basically.
Yeah, but
because it's amateur. Well, not all amateur fights have the headgear.
It's like it's not protecting the only thing that really matters, which is inside your head that you can't do anything about. So
yeah, you really can't.
It seems like the headgear is a little silly. It just seems silly.
I mean, I get why they do it.
Does it actually do that much? Have you fought with and without it? Does it make a difference?
It prevents you from getting cut, but I don't think it really helps with like the brain damage or anything. Like,
so are they
still damaging your brain?
What are they? What is the reasoning behind?
Some people argue that it does help prevent knockouts and it prevents, you know, the CTE and all that kind of stuff. That's what some people argue. I don't know that it really does. I don't think it does, in my opinion. But it does prevent the cuts for sure. You can still break your nose with headgear on, so
Sure.
that
Yeah.
still happens. But for the most part, I mean, you're not gonna. I think especially in kickboxing, if you're, throwing kicks and stuff, you're well in just kind of throwing some punches if they hit a certain spot, or if you have, scar tissue already. But I don't know. I mean, I've personally never sparred with headgear. I've always just not worn it. Whenever I used to spar. So I don't know. I might try it, when I start sparring again, just
Wouldn't
to
you get
see.
hit more?
Yeah, see, that's a thing. It also kind of, I feel like, would affect my defense a little bit. I don't know. I've never tried it though. I have headgear. I've never used it because I just always like to not use it. But then one day I was in sparring and this guy got cut super bad up above his eyebrow. It was like a headbutt situation, and I was like, oh, maybe I should wear, because I'm a southpaw, and sometimes southpaws, especially when you're sparring another southpaw, you're fighting another southpaw, sometimes you're more susceptible to like a headbutt, and that would be the only thing that I'd be afraid of, because I have seen people get headbutted, and that's when you get busted open usually.
Do you punch in the head in sparring?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, when I was sparring, I mean, sometimes it was like we were in a fight. Like, especially if they were like closer to my size, then we kind of knew we could go hard. Because it's like if I'm sparring somebody that's, 155 or above pounds, even 145, it's like, yeah, I don't really want to go hard with that person because I don't want to get hit by them, like
Yeah.
it's not smart to do that. So if I
I
was
should have
sparring with
brought I
somebody
should have
my
brought some
size,
brain studies on here
yeah, you
and
should
really
have.
really ruined your
Yeah,
attitude towards sparring.
I know.
I forget what podcast I was just watching about, and he said the most important factor apparently of Alzheimer's and like dementia and things like that. Number one, sleep, and then number two is just brain impact.
Just
So
don't get
like
punched in the face.
soccer
Oh
balls,
yeah,
like
I've been
you
hitting the head
headbutt
with a
soccer
soccer ball.
balls.
That sucks.
Yeah, so soccer balls, headbutting, and like any consistent
You know what
thing
happened
that's
to me
hitting
when
your
I
head
was
over and over
little?
again.
One of my neighbors threw a soccer ball at my face for no reason. I was walking through the neighborhood and all of a sudden just bam right to my face. And
I
I went to the urgent care because like
You had to
I
go to
was,
urgent care for that?
yeah, I was a mess. Yeah,
You break your nose or anything?
no, but I thought I had a concussion. Why I wanted to make
Okay.
sure I didn't have she said something like my brain had a contusion or something like that, which I don't know what that means, but yeah, I'm pretty sure my brain's already a mess just, from the beginning of my life. And I fell off my bed when I was like 4 and I had to go get staples in my head, literally split my head right open. So, yeah, I
I
think I
fell
was already
down my stairs at my
nice.
parents' house when I was like,
I've done that.
I think like a year old or 2 years old. And they put that fence up. That you really don't see fences a lot anymore. I don't
No,
know.
they're
I feel
expensive.
like I used to see those fences up all the time at people's
Yeah.
houses that separate the stairs, so kids don't just start crawling and just fall down the stairs. It's pretty.
Um,
It's pretty fun. Brain injuries. My mom once got kicked by a soccer ball. St. Alban Row. Shout out. In where is that? Is that Wildwood? That's probably still Wildwood. Wildwood, Missouri.
yeah.
That's elementary school soccer. Let's go. My mom. You know how they have the soccer. They
Mm-hmm.
have multiple fields, and you'd always have to walk behind one of them to get to like the field behind it. And so we were walking behind, the first goal to get to the field behind it, smoked, absolutely destroyed, literally went home.
Wow. So what did you think of let's get back to the fights. So
Yes.
the Muay Thai fights versus the kickboxing fights. What did you think?
So I liked, what I honestly appreciate about kickboxing is the no clinching, the no hugging.
Yeah. No.
But then also with the Muay Thai, I liked the knees,
Yeah.
inside knees. So I don't know, but also the guys that walked out that were doing Muay Thai, they had the shit on, and I was like, ooh, I was like, they just look, they just look. They went
The
around the whole
theatrics of it
thing.
are cool.
Yeah, they went around like the whole thing, and I was like, I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to fuck with this person. That's the whole thing I was saying. Like when they came in with I don't know what that is. Yeah, all the attire, I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I feel
Muay
like
Thai was interesting. Is
that
that the
part of it
biggest
makes it
difference?
more interesting. What?
Is that the biggest difference between the two? Is that you can just get inside and throw knees?
Yeah, the clinch is probably one of the biggest differences. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, you can throw the knees and elbows, which in I don't know what the rules are in like glory kickboxing, which kickboxing is a completely like people think that MMA and kickboxing are so similar, and it's like no, they're two completely different sports with completely different rule sets.
Yeah, I was about to
Um,
say the rules were different
yeah.
too. So I noticed
Mm-hmm.
that was there two different referees there that night? One for Muay Thai, one for kick? Or were they just switching
Um,
every fight? They did
they
either
might have
one.
just been switching. I don't remember,
Okay.
but yeah, the biggest difference is the rule set, and then yeah, the clinching is a big thing. I'm trying to think what I can't really think of what like the major differences are besides that right now. Um, but yeah, I think well, and it was amateur. So in amateur fights, a lot of times they can't throw knees and elbows, or they can throw elbows, but they have to have elbow pads on. So you didn't see, I don't think we saw as many knees in the amateur fights as we did in the Muay Thai
Correct.
amateur fights, which they were
Correct.
all amateur fights. But so, what was your favorite fight from the night?
Um, Surprisingly, it was like the fourth to last one or the fifth to last one. The
Oh, Marcellus
kickboxing fight.
Edwards versus Dan Harina.
No, no. It was
Which
the
one?
kickboxing fight. If I had that sheet in front of me, I'd be able to tell you. It was younger guys though. Kai, he was like five. Wrong way, wrong way. Um,
Oh,
Wait, Ethan Huff, Ty, or Trey. Is it Trey?
Trey Lewis. Oh, the knockout.
They were younger guys kickboxing. They both had skinny legs.
Ty Prackett and Zalian.
That might be it.
Yeah,
That
Ty. They
fight,
fought at 120.
yeah, and that like their both of their movements were insane. The flexibility of both of them,
Yeah,
like the biggest thing. I feel like the biggest thing they looked, even though they were what, not even title fight or whatever, they looked like they had more time in fighting than almost and arguably even almost as much, if more so, than the people that had 9 or 5 fights under their belt. It was very
yeah,
odd. And it
yeah. It was
was it
crazy.
Maryville? Who's the was it
Maryville Muay
Mary?
Thai.
Both of their fighters did well, correct?
They had several fighters on that card. So Max Reed, he lost his fight by split decision, but it was that was a really competitive fight. That was the one where his opponent's mom was screaming. Um
I hated that fight. I'm sorry. Shout out who, dude. I hated. She was yelling, "Do what your mama tells you." I was like, "Oh, this is." I was like, "This is fucking Waterboy, dude." I was like, "This is." Everyone was looking at them like, "What the fuck?" I honestly was rooting against him because his mom was yelling like that, and I feel like the
Kick
whole
his
crowd
ass,
was turning.
Ethan.
Yeah, the whole crowd was turning.
Oh,
Um,
it's so funny. Yeah, the whole crowd was chanting, "Go Max, go Max."
well, the whole crowd turned because it's like you're not making it easy to root for your son by being this person.
Did
Like,
you hear what she
stop.
was saying? She was like, I think she called him a spoiled brat at one point. Oh, it was so
Oh yeah.
funny. So funny.
He's like, show him what them $2,000 does or something. I'm like, what does $2,000 have to do with anything?
I have
Like,
to
is
know
that
the
how much
story
he's
of that.
like?
I
Is
gotta
that how much
find
he's going to
out.
be making? No, but that okay. I don't.
I thought it was actually kind of funny. Not gonna lie.
That fight was good. That fight was good
Yeah,
too.
that was
But
a good fight.
Maryville Muay Thai, those fighters were impressive.
Yeah.
I think
so
they
Trey
were
Lewis, he's from Maryville Muay Thai too. He got
okay.
the that knockout in like
Yeah.
1 minute or something like that.
Yeah.
And then Nicholas Rivera, I can't remember what happened in that fight. I have it written
I mean,
down.
the main fight was insane with
Oh my God. Yeah.
they were throwing like nobody's business. I don't understand how either of them were still.
Yeah,
I don't
because
know how they made
Patrick
it
was
to that
throwing
kick.
that second round. Patrick was like really pouring it on him. It was crazy. But
So is it because what they were using? No, they weren't using like MMA gloves. Do you think if they were
no,
using MMA gloves that they would have thrown more knockouts?
possibly. I don't know. I think the fights just need to be longer. Like, I
Well,
think
they only went 5 rounds, right?
they only went 5 rounds for the title fights, and then the fights before that, before the title fights, were only 3 rounds. So that's why you don't see as many knockouts. So I think if the early fights were 5 rounds and then the title fights were like 7 rounds or 9 rounds, I think
I
then
don't
we would
know.
see.
A lot of those early fights, those dudes were gassed after 3 rounds. Like I don't think
Yeah, that's
anyone was
true.
throwing. I don't think any of them were throwing a knockout to save their lives. They could hardly throw their fucking arm. Like a lot of those that didn't end in knockout at the beginning just went to decision because there's no way they're
Yeah.
just gassed.
Yeah,
There
some
was
of
a
them,
lot of. I
but
was
you know which
surprised that
fight should have been 5 rounds was Dan Harina versus Marcellus Edwards. Because
yeah.
if
So
that
why
would
was
have
that
gone
not?
another round, it wasn't a title
Someone
fight.
was getting knocked. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, if that would have gone one more round, I think it would have been a TKO or KO. Because Dan was in the third round, Dan was freaking going ham. He threw a Superman punch, and then he threw like a kick and a punch combination. I can't remember what exactly it was, but yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, he had that dog in him in that fight for sure. Like,
well, he was
nuts.
losing the first round pretty bad, right?
Yeah.
We were like, holy shit.
Yeah, and then he came
then he
back.
really turned on the steam.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah,
it just makes it more fun to watch.
Isn't enough.
No, not for that fight. That fight needed 2 more rounds for sure.
The big dogs were good though. The 265 class. Holy
yeah.
shit.
That was
he kept losing his helmet because he was getting punched so hard in the head. His helmet broke. And
that was wild. That was one time it just
taped
flew
the helmet
off.
on him. They taped the helmet onto him.
Did they really?
Like, this helmet ain't doing shit. This thing is doing nothing. Headgear. My God, whatever it's called. This headgear is not doing anything besides ruining the fight. But yeah, that was insane. Those dudes were just going ham.
Yeah, they were swinging. That was crazy. I think that was their debut.
Yeah, did they even have a UFC weight class at 265?
Yeah, that's the heavyweight limit. You know what's crazy about bare knuckle?
Okay.
Bare knuckle fighting championship, I don't think they have a limit at heavyweight. Or if they do, I don't know. It might be higher than 265 because I've never seen a limit. So I don't know if you're a heavyweight in BKFC, you can just be as big as you want.
Just be like 450 walk in there?
I don't know because I've never seen a limit. So I don't know. But then it's like, how do you sanction the fight? So there has to be some kind of limit, I would think. I don't know.
Just make it
but
an open class.
UFC, the limit is 265. So
no one over that can fight. Is that same with boxing? Is that heavyweight same with boxing? I don't know.
This boxing has more weight classes than MMA. And so does
Yeah, they have a billion.
kickboxing.
They have so
Yeah.
many. It's like every
Yeah.
3 pounds. It's like, can we stop? Why is there so
You know,
many?
they have super heavyweight in kickboxing in Glory. That's what Rico Verhoeven, he fights in that weight class. And I want to say that's a heavier weight than the UFC. I think it's like maybe 285 or 300 or something crazy. Rico Verhoeven is like one of the most terrifying physiques I've ever seen. He's ginormous. Like his leg is like the size of me.
It says more than 265. That's all it says.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know what it is. But it seems like the fighters in that weight class are like super big.
In the International Kickboxing Federation, the super heavyweight class is for kickboxers weighing 235 and above.
Oh yeah, so they have heavyweight, I guess is. Wait, is that boxing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with their weight classes as I am with MMA. MMA, I feel like I pretty much know pretty well. But I'm trying to learn more about the other sports too, because at some point, you know, it might make more sense for me to start covering some other, you know, boxing, kickboxing, stuff like that a little bit more. Because I want to start covering one championship, and one championship is interesting because they have MMA, kickboxing, and grappling only. So they have like jujitsu matches and kickboxing and Muay Thai.
Yeah, because stand-up didn't have any ground.
No.
Which was a little upsetting. But obviously the name is.
Do you like as a what I would consider, you know, a casual fan, somebody who watches here and there, you know, you're not like super, you're not keeping up with the rankings, you're not betting on it, you're not doing anything crazy. So from your perspective, do you like the grappling? Do you like to watch it? Do you think it's interesting to watch?
The ground game?
Mm-hmm.
It depends. If it's only that, then no.
Okay. That makes sense.
And I don't think, obviously, UFC can't put like a timer like, oh, you can only be on the ground for a third of the round or something. But when they're up against like the cage the whole time, annoying, right? Yeah. Obviously, if they're on the ground the whole time, annoying. But if they're swinging hands the whole time, no one's ever annoyed. So I guess you answered. I answered your question a little bit on that.
Well, and when you're fighting on the ground, you have ground and pound too, so you can throw punches.
Choking out is sick. Choking people out is dope. Arm bars and shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's sick.
Yep.
But yeah, if you could get tap outs, that's awesome.
Okay.
But otherwise, it just seems like they're just trying to tire each other out, and it's annoying.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on like how much you know about the technique too. If you really know the technique well and you're a fan of wrestling and you've watched wrestling, like I watched a lot of wrestling when I was a kid because my dad forced it down our throats. But
you talking about like WWE?
No, like we went to go watch Mizzou wrestling meets. Like college wrestling. Because my dad's he's into like every sport.
Did he go to Mizzou?
No, but Mizzou's known for their wrestling. Like it's crazy. Like there's been several UFC champions. Did he wrestle? That I think so. As a kid.
Your dad did? Okay.
Yeah. Not he played like every sport.
Got it.
As a kid. Yeah. Yeah, but so the wrestling, I feel like I have a little bit of a better grasp on. So when I see it, I appreciate the technique of it a little bit more than most people do. And the jujitsu too. I actually like to watch jujitsu by itself. I don't watch it as much as I watch MMA, obviously, but I do like to watch grappling matches sometimes. It's interesting. But yeah, I'm trying to learn more about the other combat sports now that I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on MMA. So I'm like, okay, it's time to learn, kind of dive into some other stuff.
I feel like if there's one person you don't want to fuck with, it's a wrestler. That's the last person.
Yeah, they say wrestling is the best base for MMA a lot of times, just because you can, I mean, if you're good enough at wrestling, you can control where the fight goes. So,
if you're just in a street fight, I feel like you take someone on the ground in 5 seconds and they're done.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yep. And there's certain elbows that you can't throw in MMA on the ground. Like you can't throw elbows like straight down. You have to throw it.
Yeah,
like,
you have to go. Yeah.
Yeah. But in a street fight, you can do whatever you want. So
I always thought it's wild that they can just throw bows like that anyways when they're on top of them, but I guess it makes sense.
yeah.
That's a crazy move because I just can't imagine just being some fucking 180-pound dude just being on top of you, trained, just elbowing you right, just right in the face.
Oh my God. Did you see that Dana White was on Theo's podcast? Did you see that? They just released it today.
Interesting. Did you watch it?
I started it while I was on my way home from boxing, and I'm probably going to listen to the rest of it tomorrow.
What's up with comedians and the UFC? Joe Rogan just got them all in, and now they're just...
I think that has a lot to do with it, because think about how many comedians are in Joe Rogan's circle. Makes sense.
A lot of the bad ones.
So you're saying Brendan Schaub isn't a great comedian, Eric?
I would argue to say there is actually a YouTube channel called Podcast Cringe, which is very funny.
I'm gonna have to check this out.
And he rips on, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Rogan himself is not an amazing stand-up. I've seen him live in his specials.
I liked it when I was younger, but now that I've gotten older, I've kind of realized I'm like, his stand-up really isn't as good as I thought it was.
It's mid. Yeah, he's the podcast god.
I think he just has such a crazy work ethic that like no matter what he does, he's gonna be successful at it just because he works so freaking hard. And think about what his schedule has to look like. Can you imagine? It's gonna be crazy.
Do you think?
Yeah, because like I'm doing 3 to 5 podcasts a week right now. And even that, I'm like, wow, this does feel like a lot. I mean, I love every second of it.
As much as like other comedians.
I don't think that's true. And this is kind of what I was thinking. This is why I'm kind of almost trying to become the female version of Joe Rogan, because what he's done is so genius, because he does like the commentary with the UFC, but he only does events that are in the US. Like he doesn't, well, sometimes he'll travel out, but for the most part, like he doesn't travel out of the US, and he only does pay-per-view events. He doesn't do like he makes his like 10 appearances a year, basically.
Yeah.
However many it is. And then he does his podcast. And then
he always has to get his reaction.
Yeah, of course. And then he does the in-cage interviews. He does that. So I'm like, that's basically what I want to do. I want to do like 10 to 12 events a year, maybe one event a month, or, at the most. And do commentary and post-fight interviews and stuff like that. And then do my podcast most of the time, and do the 3 to 5 episodes a week, maybe even more if I can. And then do whatever else I want to do on the side.
Can we just talk about how a billionaire, Joe Rogan will be a billionaire here shortly.
Oh, yeah.
If he's not already.
He's got a lot of investments and stuff too, with like certain companies he's invested in. His on it and all that stuff.
Spotify. Someone's about to offer him a shitload of money.
Do you think he's going to stay at Spotify?
I think if they offer him $1 billion over like 10 years, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not out of the realm. They paid him $300 for 3 years, right? Or $300 for 5 or something like that. I forget exactly what it was. $200 for 3.
Yeah, because there's no way he could have made that just off of monetization and sponsorships and stuff.
Yeah, or he's going to X, or Elon and him.
You think? Are people making money on X?
Yeah.
How?
They're
I
also
have like
getting
3
more
followers, dude.
they're also getting more impressions than anyone else too.
I don't know how to do
Disney
X.
Disney shows are dropping whole episodes on X now. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Should I be putting my podcast on there?
Yeah. I don't even know if we do, but yeah.
That's another thing I gotta upload now.
Yeah, the UFC fans, the Twitter, they have to be on fucking
Maybe I'll
Twitter.
just
There's
put
no
my
way.
guest episodes on there moving forward.
UFC people have to be on Twitter. There's no way. That would have to be a
Yeah.
good platform for UFC.
Okay, I guess I'll start doing that. So much
Yeah,
work.
Twitter has to be good because I know
I don't have a following on Twitter. That's the problem. If I had a following, then I would feel better about putting my stuff on there. But it's like I don't want to, I don't want to like start a whole new fan base on Twitter and then just be really weird. Because I feel like sometimes when you've built a brand and like people kind of know who you are, and then you go to another platform and they don't know who you are, and then you're like trying to cater to two different audiences, and you're like, oh shit. Like, I don't know. I feel like I've gotten myself in trouble with that. Like, where
I don't
like,
know if it'd be a different audience, it'd just be different people. Same
yeah,
audience,
it's
different
true.
people.
I just need to be better at not listening to every single piece of feedback. I think that's what I need to get better at, because sometimes I think
Oh,
that
you
I have to
listen to
listen.
feedback?
Yeah, I mean, I do listen to feedback because there is some good in it, and there has been some feedback that I've gotten that's helped me. But for the most part, it's
Like
usually people who know what they're talking about that have
comments
helped
or
me.
like people in person giving you feedback?
Both. I talk to a lot of people that do podcasts and YouTube and stuff too.
Do they
And
give
I
you
talk to a lot of
unwanted?
MMA media people. That's been really,
Gotcha.
really helpful too. But like other YouTubers and podcasters, I feel like that's always the best resource for feedback. So I try to only listen
100%,
to
yeah.
them. Try to only listen to them when I get feedback. And they usually don't give it to me unless I ask for it, which is nice because unsolicited feedback is just annoying, which you know that about me. I hate it. And I think that's why I get so annoyed when people comment stuff. If it's somebody that I know or somebody that like thinks they know me, you know those people that think they know you, but it's like, dude, you don't even know me. And then they give you feedback, but then you look at what they're doing and you're like, dude, you're not doing anything. So why are you giving me this feedback? Like, you don't know what you're talking about. So it's like sometimes you do, but then also it's like, well, do I want to listen to the perspective of somebody who's a fan? Or do I want to hear the perspective of somebody who's just finding something to critique? And if they're just trying to find something to critique to make themselves look like they're an expert or try to, one up you or whatever, then that's just stupid. And I'm not going to listen to that criticism. But if it's
There's
fan,
a lot of sad men in the comments.
oh my God, it's never women. It's literally never once has a woman. You know what women do? They share my stuff. They flame react it. Like, that's what women do.
No, they just don't. They just don't comment. They just share it in their group text.
Yes, they also do that. I know there's probably girls that talk shit about me, but I don't really care. Because then they obviously don't know me.
Comments that are just salty men. I know you're sitting at home alone, hating your life, leaving 100%. The negative comments. And let me tell you, anytime we get it on our podcast, I love it.
I know you do.
I love it more. I'm like, if someone says good podcast today, I'm like, fuck off. But if someone is like, if someone's shitting on it, I'm like, yo, let's go. Let's fight.
You know what my problem is with the good feedback is that I never can tell if it's genuine or not unless it's somebody I know. Because you know how people just say things because it's like, well, first of all, there's a lot of guys in my comments that, they think I'm cute or whatever. And they're like hitting on me. And so I can never tell sometimes if it's just that or if somebody genuinely is like, I like this podcast. It's like, and it kind of makes me sad because I feel like I can never really enjoy. Yeah, I can never really enjoy the positive comments unless it's somebody I know. And so it's like if I, get a message from another podcaster or YouTuber that I know and they're complimenting it, or another MMA media person, like that makes me feel good. Or a fighter too. Like if fighters like my content, then that gets me really hyped. But anybody else, when they say my content's good, it's almost hard for me to like accept the compliment. I guess that's sad.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I don't have to deal with a lot of that because I feel like as a man, we don't have to deal with the other petty
I don't
men.
know.
It's pretty apparent. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
What about Matt Rife? You think he doesn't deal with that? I bet you he deals with a lot of that.
He acts like he doesn't like that, but he fucking loves that shit. I've heard him on podcasts talk about how he doesn't like his audience and he'd want to switch, but he's lying.
Yeah, I
Maybe
mean,
he's not.
I don't know. He might have a point. Because sometimes I feel like there are people that only watch my content because they think I'm attractive. And it's just kind of a weird feeling. Like, I don't like it. I'd rather somebody watch it because they like.
I'm attractive. Where the fuck are my viewers? What's going on here? What are we talking about here?
You need to post more clips, Eric. That's all you need to do.
Damn it. What am I doing wrong here?
Gotta post more clips. That's how Matt Rife got big. I mean, he's a good looking guy, but it's like, he's not anything out of the.
He folded his fucking sleeves up on the clips.
Yeah.
We all know Matt Rife. Give me a break. He did it all. It's all a marketing ploy. This is like the whole Kelsey Travis fucking thing.
But that's how he got big, because he started posting his clips. I mean, he's been around for a while. I mean, he was on Wild 'N Out and all that stuff. But
did you watch his stand-up that came out this year?
I thought it didn't come out till tomorrow.
I thought he had a special come out like last year or this year.
He might have, but he's got a Netflix special coming out tomorrow.
I remember his crowd work.
I'm gonna watch it.
I remember his crowd work was, yeah.
But you know why he posts
Matthew Stephen Wright? He literally posted an hour special earlier this year. How does he have
a lot of people think that Matt Rife posts his crowd work because he only can do crowd work, and while I will say he doesn't want to
let his jokes go.
Yes, that's the thing, and that's what a lot of people don't realize is that you don't want to wear out your material with your clips. And he posted a lot of clips, and that's how he got famous, because he had one of them just blow up, and then all of his other clips blew up at the same time. So he just went crazy viral. It's actually genius what he did.
Into the weight room every day and do bicep and tricep curls. It's fucking all he does.
Well, he's another one of those guys. He's kind of like Rogan in a way, which is his work ethic. He's got a crazy work ethic. He could be the next Joe Rogan.
I know.
Oh yeah, he's beautiful. But like, I feel like that's the type of attractive that I'm not really like attracted to. I don't know. I feel like it's too clean cut for me.
Tell him. I feel like you ask him to like, hey, can you? I don't know. Do anything outside? Can you take the trash out? And it's like, absolutely not. There's no way his fingers are getting around the trash bag.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
But he's out there. Really, he's out there building Adirondack chairs. He can build a tree house.
Really?
Skilled carpenter. No, I'm just I have no idea.
Oh, I thought you were being serious.
That would be hilarious. No, but in this stand-up special, my point proven, in this photo, he has his sleeves rolled up. Stop rolling up the sleeves if you don't want the attention, Matt. Give me a break. This guy is I don't even know what to call it. I don't know.
It's okay. I feel like every guy hates Matt Rife right now. I always see people posting, especially when when my Theo Von thing went viral. That was when like Matt Rife was kind of going viral, with all the girls were like kind of going crazy over him, and then all the guys were like, Matt Rife sucks.
He's fun to make fun of. I think I think his special was pretty good. It was good.
He's good. Sam Tripoli said he's a really cool guy, apparently. Like, he's a really nice guy.
I mean, there's been a lot of good stand-ups that came out this year, and I wouldn't say that's one that I was like, that's one of the best.
No.
And we'll see on Netflix. Maybe comes out and kills. But, Stavros, let me tell you, he's better at stand-up and crowd work. I'd honestly argue the most overrated stand-up right now. Take a guess.
I don't know. I actually don't know what you're gonna say.
Andrew Schultz.
Hot take. Yeah, I feel like I kind of got a little burnt out on Andrew Schultz, not gonna lie.
His stand-up itself, I think, overrated. Everyone was calling him like the best stand-up, and I was like,
no, I think it was just because what he did during COVID was so genius. That to me was his best work, was what he did during COVID.
Yeah. I don't know why they ever stopped doing that.
Yeah, he should have just kept doing that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I guess he's having fun with the podcast.
These people, all these stand-ups have this fear of not being known as a stand-up. Mm-hmm. Even Trevor Wallace says this. It's like, bitch, everyone knows you from the fucking Zoomies Facebook video. No one knows you as a fucking stand-up, bro. Okay, get over it. Get over it. You don't like it? Well, don't be famous, because the only reason you're famous is the goddamn Zoomies video. Okay? And you're... God.
We need to start our own podcast, Eric. Do you have time for another one?
A lot of these comedians have been fucking annoying me lately. Yeah. They've been sitting on their pedestals. Bert Kreischer. God, I won't even watch The Machine.
I'm not a fan of his comedy. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm not a fan of his comedy. I'm also not a fan of his podcast. I find him annoying.
Yeah.
He's only good when he has other people with him, which makes him not good, because it's only because other people are there that he's good.
Yep. Well, we're gonna have to do another
Bill Burr's movie.
What?
Did you watch Bill Burr's movie?
No, not yet.
On Netflix. It's called like Old Dads.
Okay. I'll watch it. We're gonna have to do another one of these because I have to get ready for bed, because I have to wake up at 5 and do my podcast in the morning.
You have to wake up at 5? It's 10:30. Mm-hmm. It's not even enough sleep time.
Yeah, I'm a busy person.
All right.
I'll take a nap.
It's been real. How do you outro this?
I don't know. I'm not very good at doing that. I usually just do a Midwest goodbye where I'm like, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And then we say another few things. And I'm like, all right, thank you so much for coming on.
I thought you'd do an Irish goodbye and just be like, click, end.
That's probably what I'm going to do for this one. If I had more time.
All right. It's been real. Thanks for having me on.
No, I'm not going to do that. No, I appreciate you coming on. We should do another one sometime. This was good. I'm curious to watch it back, and we'll see what kind of content we get.
I feel like we just rambled for an hour and like 20 minutes. I don't even know.
Oh, it's going to be great. I can't wait to edit this. I'm going to have so much fun.
The ADD is real on this episode. That's for sure. Yeah. It's late at night. I'm tired.
Yeah.
It's like the time, when you were a young child and you were playing video games. It's late at night. It's like the slap happy hour.
I feel like the next one we need to do probably a 3 or 4 hour one.
Oh God. I've never done longer. The longest podcast we've done, I think, was like an hour and 45.
Okay. Next time you guys have me on, or if you have me on, or if I have you on, the next time
we can't do virtual for 4 hours. There's no way.
We have to do it in person. So you might have to have me on yours, or we'll have to start our own. Then it has to be at least 3 hours. We're going to do the marathon. We're going to do it.
I would say at least 2.5 hours.
At least. Minimum. We have to do it. It's on our bucket list. All right. Well, I'm going to go take care of my dog and take her out. Hopefully she will do her business.
Hopefully everyone learned something today.
Yeah. I hope you guys learned a lot from all of our bro science. All right, Eric. Well, you have a good night. I'm going to go take my dog out.
All right. Peace out.